I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. That's a line by the rapper Cameron. The song's called Get It in Ohio, and it's one of hundreds of lyrics collected in a new book, The Anthology of Rap. Adam Bradley is the co-editor of that anthology, more than 800 pages, that starts at the birth of rap 40 years ago in the community centers and apartment blocks of the South Bronx. And as Adam Bradley explains, the very first rappers were actually DJs who needed to keep the crowds amped up and dancing. The solution? Start talking over the record.
What developed out of DJing was the very concept of emceeing, of putting words in rhyme to the music. So some of the early innovators in the art of rapping are actually DJs. Eddie Chiba, DJ Hollywood, even Grandmaster Caz of the Cold Crush Brothers. These are people who started often as DJs and then made the transition into the lyrical art.
You trace a lot of like classic rap rhymes to DJ Eddie Chiba. Can you give me some examples of what he wrote?
The great Chuck D of Public Enemy once said about Eddie Chiba that he was as important to hip-hop as Ike Turner was to rock and roll. You go into the lyrics and you can see just that. I mean, think about a phrase that's become really a part of the popular idiom that's really transcended hip-hop. Something like,
Raise your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care.
and this is Eddie Chiba in 1979.
And you think about that line, I mean, that's just like a throwaway line at any hip-hop concert today.
Yeah,
and he wrote that.
Exactly, and this is part of an oral tradition that stretches back, if you really want to go into it, and Henry Louis Gates Jr. does in his foreword to the book, goes into the African-American oral tradition of the toasts and the dozens and all of these different word games that were part of African-American culture. It also goes back more broadly into the Western poetic heritage. I mean, one of the most surprising things that I came across in first going through these early lyrics, take something like Rapper's Delight, the first mainstream hip-hop hit, a little bit later in that year of 1979.
By the Sugar Hill Gang.
Sugar Hill Gang. And it starts with those famous words of Wonder Mike. I said a hip, hop, a hip to the hip of the, that part. And when it gets to the verse, you hear, now what you hear is not a test, I'm rapping to the beat.
And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet.
Now, even with my poor emceeing skills, you can hear within that something pretty tremendous. And what that is, and this is what I discovered by actually transcribing it, is that it's written in a ballad stanza. This is the form of Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, but it's also the form of the Gilligan's Island theme. The ballad stanza, storytelling form that's been with us in our culture and finds its way, whether intentionally or not, into these lyrics.
One of the earliest sort of, I guess, political rap songs was by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. And the track was called The Message, a really big, important, and sort of popular song that came out in the early 80s.
Don't push me, 'cause I'm close to the edge.
How big of a turning point in rap was this song?
The Message really was a kind of turn in hip-hop. It was a turn toward social consciousness. It was a turn toward a kind of songwriting, deliberate kind of songwriting that looked at the world around these folks and talked about their realities.
The bill collectors, they ring my phone and scare my wife when I'm not home. Got a bum education, double-digit inflation, can't take the train to the job. There's a strike at the station.
Rap has always been about these tensions. The tension between the party and the profit. It's been the tension between the sense of social responsibility, but also the need to rock the crowd, to move the crowd, to make people dance.
I'm speaking with Adam Bradley. He's the co-editor of the new book, The Anthology of Rap. Adam Bradley, last year we had Rakim on the show, probably one of the most important and influential rappers of all time. He's really the guy who kind of pioneered internal rhyme schemes and sort of bending words to rhyme, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why he's often known as the God MC, because he took what was already an established art form, and he brought in a level of musicality, a sense of rhythm and rhyme that revolutionized what people were doing. People had to go back and really start over with their lyrics once they heard Rakim. He's that kind of artist. Take one of his most famous lyrics, Microphone Fiend. I was a fiend before I became a teen. I melted microphones instead of cones of ice cream. Just that little play of language across those two lines.
Microphones and cones, yeah. There's another line, the melody that I'm styling smooth as a violin, rough enough to break New York from Long Island.
I'm styling, smooth as a violin, rough enough to break New York from Long Island. My wisdom is swift.
There are some rappers that are in the anthology, and some who are notably absent, like Vanilla Ice, who had the first #1 rap song with Ice Ice Baby. MC Hammer, You Can't Touch Us. That's not in here. Yeah. A lot of gangster rap is not in here, particularly some of the more sort of profane gangster rap. Did you leave that out intentionally? Did you? I mean, because it seems like the rappers that are in this book are really the best lyricists.
This is a complex but important question, Guy. I mean, one of the things that I'll say is that if you want profanity, there's plenty within the anthology. One of the things we didn't want to do was to sugarcoat hip-hop. Now, when it comes to artists like Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer, I would add Young MC, Sir Mix-a-Lot, all these artists who were
bestsellers,
huge,
right.
Really huge artists in the early to mid 90s. I think what we ultimately decided is that something like You Can't Touch This, MC Hammer's great hit, is best served by listening to it in full.
That's word because you know you can't touch this. You can't touch this.
You need to have the music. You have to have the whole package.
Yeah, there's a place for them within the constellation of hip-hop. What our purpose was in this volume, however, was to focus as much as possible on the lyrical art.
What do you want people to get out of this book? Because, I mean, it's sort of an academic look at hip-hop. And, as you know, that can easily be ridiculed. I mean, even our conversation, right? Talking about hip-hop lyrics on NPR. I mean, I promise you there's no way to have this conversation without someone poking a little fun. But, I mean, what are you sort of hoping people come away with from this book?
Hip-hop culture has always been about the battle. So I think the idea of there being ridicule or pushback or whatever it may be to our conversation or to the fact that Yale University Press is publishing a book on hip-hop is all part of hip-hop culture in a way. What do I want people to take out of the book? I think I want people to take away a sense of rap in full. I think rap at its best is a keyhole into American culture over the last 30-plus years. It's a way in to think about all of the things that matter to us about this past 4 decades. And it's also something you can dance to. So how good is that?
That's Adam Bradley. He's a professor of English at the University of Colorado and the co-editor of the new Anthology of Rap. It's published